want coffee tonight?
Can I entertain a motion to come out of executive session? So moved, Mayor. Motion by Councilman Gonzalez, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Ms. Shannon, will you call the roll?
Councilor Brentalillo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ruiz Gallegos,
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Katrina Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. De Filippo, will you assert that the only thing discussed during the executive session was limited personal matters related to the village administrator?
Yes, Mayor, I can confirm that the only items that were discussed during the closed session were limited personnel matters in relation to the village administrator.
Thank you, Mr. De Filippo. You're next on the agenda of any of your matters.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor. I'll be very brief today. We had a very good meeting with the staff and myself regarding the water ordinance. We're hoping to have a version of that for the council's review at the next meeting. In addition, I have met with the village as well as, or the village staff as well as the mayor in relation to the ONRT projects that are currently in place. There has been some positive discussions with the ONRT as well as with myself and the village, and hoping to get these projects completed. As we previously mentioned, the two projects that are currently in place or being considered are the well project as well as the sewer project. We've recently got a price estimate for DBSNA in relation to the well project, obviously due to the increases of supplies as well as everything else that is currently increasing in the world. The well project is going to be substantially more expensive than initially considered in the 2016 ONRT request. So we're currently looking at options of combining that with the well project or the sewer project, or leaning it all towards the sewer project. But ONRT has been very open with allowing future conversations to occur with that. So once I have additional conversations with the mayor as well as the staff on a finalized version, what they are currently suggesting is a revised MOA or memorandum of agreement between the village and the ONRT that will specify how those funds will be utilized. But I'm happy to say that they are being flexible and they are going to let us utilize those funds in the way that best benefits the village. So I think those have been positive conversations. Other than that, I do not have any additional updates, I believe, but I stand for questions should there be any.
Mr. De Filippo, I know you had mentioned to us that Chevron was requesting that we come up with a list of priorities for the 2023 years. Would you just explain that to council?
Absolutely, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, so this was just kind of a passing conversation, but the Chevron is hoping to get a list from the village in relation to what projects the village would like to see Chevron support during this next year. In my mind, that looks very similar to the ICIP list that we were just discussing, but instead of obviously following that with the state government, we would be providing that to Chevron. So I think if we could have a discussion, and I would request that Valerie puts that on the agenda for hopefully the next meeting, and we can kind of start itemizing what projects we see as being most beneficial, so we can really prioritize those for Chevron and put in a quality application for what the village needs most in the upcoming year.
Councilor, that's just something to think about for next meeting, but it's not going to be the same stuff we're asking the legislature for. It's going to be stuff that Chevron can help us with locally, like Yamago Road, Marine, and that's just as an example where they've actually agreed to help us with the money. I did ask them for help with the water tender as well, and just anything that they can help us with locally. We can maybe come up with a list and say we need, village that we think we can put to beneficial use for the village, maybe we can ask for that, I don't know what that's at, but just think about stuff like that.
Yeah, and Mayor and Council, I think this will be a very positive thing in the long run, because we'll be able to really start putting together quality applications or requests from Chevron, which they've been requesting. But I think if we can get a list of the items that are most necessary, they will continue to be a good neighbor to the village and continue to support the village's needs. So if we can start working on that list, it would be greatly appreciated.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. DeFilippo?
Mayor. Mr. DeFilippo, any word from the state engineer that we're dealing with, the water situation with Chevron and nothing?
Nothing to report on that specifically, since we currently are not party in that. We haven't been too involved in relation to the conversations that Chevron and the state engineer are having. However, they are still having conversations. It is still in what I'll refer to as the mediation stage, where the parties haven't necessarily brought this before a court at this point, but are hoping to resolve it. That's my understanding of where we are in the position.
Thank you.
No questions, Mayor, just, thank you, Chris, for always taking care of us and being, and us, making us your priority, that's all. And have a happy new year, you and your beautiful wife.
Thank you so much.
Maybe blush. Councilman, no questions? And next item is matters from the mayor and council members.
Mayor, I ran into Mr. Mike Messi today, and we were discussing, I guess he put in an application to open a new business in town, and he was asking me where the application was, and if I knew anything about it, and I told him I hadn't. So, I was going to ask about that, I guess.
According to the information that I know, is that there were several things that Valerie had been working on with the attorney, and he was supposed to turn all of that stuff in. I don't know where the process is at right now, if she's turned it in or he hasn't turned it in. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
But there were conversations because it's a cannabis-related issue.
Right.
So the attorney has been asked for input in.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
just still being worked on. You're still reviewing the application?
So I'll be able to provide a little bit of background, I guess, to this question. So there was a little bit of a question with Valerie in relation to a business license as well as what a cannabis license required. So we have resolved the idea of what the business license requires, but we have not received the application for, under my understanding, the documents that I have seen, we have not seen any documentation in relation to the cannabis portion of it. So I believe, and I'm not stating this with any certainty because I haven't seen the totality of the documents, but I believe the business license requirements were provided to the village. But like I said, none of the cannabis requirements were provided, and that will happen at a separate time, but I believe that's where we are in the process.
Okay, all right, I guess. Thank you. And I was gonna ask about the library, so I'm glad earlier you mentioned that we did receive that funding, so that will take care of that, good. Because we were looking for a contractor. Did we find one? Have they looked at the road?
Yes, we have a contractor that was going to do some repair on the roof, that fell under the threshold where she was able to get 3 quotes and get that done.
Right.
She's gotten the quotes. I just don't know whether it's permitted or not permitted them to do any of the work as of right now, or if that's what, I think that's what we're waiting on, right?
Weather every day? Okay, thank you. I believe that's all.
Mayor, I think, beat a dead horse again. Speed in this town is just out of control. Right now, I had a couple of, seniors talking about, light being needed, coming in. They've been warning that, or just reminding people that, slow down. I mean, can we use those signs that we got at the airport and use them, utilize them, or not really? Maybe can we look into those, street signs where they have a little blinking triangle or a square, slow down? Oh my God, man, it's out of control right now.
I agree, Councilor, they have the dedication of 522 account for Senator Cisneros. I did talk to, Michael Grasher from DOT about getting some of those flashing lights that slow down that show the speed. He told me that they were gonna get it done, so,
But it's in the bus, isn't it?
well, I'll have to follow up with Mr. Grasher and make sure that he did, he said he would get done. He said he would get
Not
done.
Michael, it's Paul.
Just
It's a
all.
different pressure, yeah.
All Grasher.
Yeah, Michael's the guy from the radio.
They're brothers.
They're brothers.
Father
Father Brasher's brothers.
Grasher.
I think it's Paul. No, it's not Paul.
It's all.
Okay.
Well, maybe Michael from KEW will help us as well. Yeah, we do need that. The other thing is that we should, so Chief was going this week sometime to Santa Fe to look at it. They have some vehicles ready for us from the state police. So he's gonna look at those, and there should be 3 vehicles coming out of that. And, I might be premature in saying this, but we are hoping that by middle of January, we have 2 additional officers hired.
That would be awesome.
We have at least one I know of right now that is going to start middle of January, and we're hoping that the second one will come on too. So once they start patrolling that, we can get Judge Rael back to work a little bit, and
There you go.
or hopefully not get him back to work, hopefully get citation, and we'll.
Hopefully, we can take the police department vehicles off the ICIP.
Well, and Council, we did talk about that, but because these vehicles are
Even
gonna
there
be
for
used,
now.
yeah, they're not gonna be long-term solutions.
No,
They're gonna,
that's right.
but the great thing about these vehicles is that they're coming fully equipped, so
Good, yeah.
we're paying for them, but we're paying minimal funds
Right.
for the equipment itself is worth what we're paying. We will have to get them decaled and
Yeah.
request a police department.
Right.
Once we get these 2 certified officers on board, we can probably look at hiring a couple more after that.
Good.
Is Jim Office already patrolling?
No.
He does do minimal patrolling. He is, having problems with the reporting system right now, so if he has to do a report, he has to go to the house to do it. So there's problems, I told him last week that he needs to get with our missions to get with him, and I believe it's central dispatch to make sure that they can get that working that way. He can do that, but he is responding to some calls right now. He just, when a lot of people are asking about the police department, when we got rid of the police department 3 years ago, it was pretty much a done deal. Now that he came in, most of it, and Ms. Shannon can attest to all the money that she's had to spend, help him spend. There was no radios there, so he had to buy brand new radios. There was no tasers. There was no, the guns were outdated. The equipment, we just didn't have equipment, so the evidence the evidence vault has been audited in years. There was stuff, was in there that shouldn't be in there, so it's taking a little bit longer than what we wanted, but at the end of the day, we're getting a much higher quality product with the chief of the beauty department. It was like starting it from ground one again. So I'm pretty happy with that right now. We do need to get them out there patrolling because the speed is an issue, and we still have some small property crime that we need to get addressed.
Another issue, the tree in town. My folks love pine trees.
week.
Next week?
Next week, a week from today.
No, not until the baptism of the Lord, which is the second Sunday in January.
Second Sunday in January,
Yes.
big tree. Bueno,
Second Saturday, Sunday, January, it's yours.
like who's love trees. Landfill supervisor in Taos is retiring, I forget his name. You know his name, Brent?
Martinez, I can't remember his first name.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, coming around the next, the new year, he's gonna be retiring. They don't have a replacement for him, they haven't had a applicant in 6 months, I believe. So, like everything else, can't find workers, and like, I forget the other guy's name. He said they're praying a lot, and they're doing the best they can. And hopefully they can continue work at the landfill before they have to privatize it. I think I just did.
Councilors,
May I ask a question?
let's get through.
I just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Shannon for always keeping us updated on everything that's going on in town. It's nice to know everything that's going on, and Jason, that was really nice of you to take the guys coffee and burritos. They have been saving our butts.
It was good to watch them work and, watch how they joke around and get along with each other, and they're supposed to be off and they just get it done. And Chris, thank you for the years time worth of chocolate.
Oh, yes, we got our thanks to Marcus.
Tell Marcos, thank you.
Will do.
Councilman Malavia.
No, I don't know, but maybe after you spark my mom and something if you talk.
You what?
Maybe you'll spark my mom and something once you talk.
Well, most of the stuff I have written down came out during the meeting, like quality of life, that we know we got for the playground, water and sewer ordinance, we discussed that. I told you we have project team meetings every other week, and we're trying to get some of that stuff moving forward. We're gonna get trolley procurement, none of that's gonna be done here in the next couple of months, and we'll get a lot of those projects off our books this summer. We are, and Mr. Miss Anaya has been working on updating our personnel policy. That's something that we really need to get done in the next couple of months with our new personnel policy. It's about an 80-page document. If any of you would like to review it, I can forward that to you. And then we can, but we do need to get that completed. She did most of the hard work. There's just a few things we need to make sure that we get it correct. I'll give you an example. The guys that were working Saturday morning, they had a holiday on Friday, so Saturday morning they were working, on Christmas Eve, they were working out there, they only get paid time and a half. So that's something that we want to make sure we address in the personal policy. And I was,
So they weren't getting time and a half?
no, if they only put 32 hours in, then they get 8 hours of holidays.
Oh.
So I did tell Miss Shannon that, and I hope you're all okay with it, that it's okay to pay them overtime for Saturday morning.
Yes.
And I think that needs to be addressed in our personnel policy, that even if there's a holiday that falls during the week, if they work overtime, they get paid overtime. Does that make sense?
Mayor and council, you don't get overtime until you actually work 40 hours. So since Friday was a holiday, they had only worked 32. So they would have just gotten straight time for Saturday's work.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh
Is
yeah,
that something that makes
definitely.
sense to pay them for it? I think it would be pretty crappy for them to have to come out Saturday and get that, be prepared, and doing it on straight time. And like I said in the past, they already get paid minimal, pretty much minimum wages it is. So that's just something, and then the thing I want to get going in the next couple of months is that total planning and zoning board that we approved the ordinance on a few months ago, so. I think that's all I have. We know about the library, congressional church building that we got, so that's a positive. We apply for more congressional fair spending in the spring if they have that program again, so.
Yeah, that's good.
I met with, Congresswoman Ledger from Monmouth last week in Taos and talked to her a little bit about some of that, some of our priorities, and then talked to her about the big hydrogen project, so she was pretty
Good.
supportive of the whole deal, so. Anyone else have anything? Do you have a question? I will let you ask a question, I won't promise to will answer your question.
I was still a little confused where you get your, like, is there one company you buy police equipment from? Or you buy several companies,
If we
or?
were to buy police equipment, we have to go through a procurement process, so. Depending on the amount, we have to get 3 quotes, or depending on how much, over $30,000, it has to actually come to council for approval. It's all part of our procurement policy.
Right.
So it's not just one company, it's usually the lowest bidder